This is Charter California Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We will be speaking with three individuals on this half hour. We will start with Chris Holden. He is a member of the Pasadena City Council. He's also a candidate for the California State Assembly. Then we'll be joined by Michael Ortiz. Mr. Ortiz is the president of Cal Poly Pomona, a fine institution in your district. Is Pomona? Just outside the district. Yes. And then we'll be joined by a representative from Glendale College in your district. Just outside, okay. But we thank you for joining us, Chris Holden. And I want to speak with you about the municipal bankruptcies we've been seeing. Yeah. And I speak with you about it both as a council member and as someone who is likely to be going to Sacramento in November if the election goes your way.
Right.
So what have you seen on the landscape? We've seen bankruptcies in Mammoth Lakes, in Stockton, and now San Bernardino, not far from Pasadena.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know, cities have certainly had to grapple with some really difficult times because certainly when sales tax is down and revenue to the city is down, we're not able to fund the kind of programs that we once were able to do.
I want to talk to you specifically about employee compensation, because in any city in our great state, that is a significant portion of the city's budget. In Pasadena, over 70%?
That's right.
So Mayor Pat Morris of San Bernardino has said on the record that one of the reasons why his city has floundered is because they could not take the weight of the pension obligations. Do you feel his pain?
Well, it is part of the challenge, and we've been very successful in renegotiating and going forward in negotiating contracts with our labor unions that have been fair to the employees, but also recognizing the changing times. We've also had to deal with the structural deficit, so it wasn't simply just the economy being bad, but it's also recognizing that we had too much debt, we had to sort of reduce that, and we had to do that by a variety of means, not just looking at the salaries. We had to also look at programs and other things that we could not afford to do any longer. But we did it in a very smart way, and we did it over many years. So maybe a 3 to 5 year plan is what we were looking at to make the expense line and the revenue line up again. We were able to do that in less than the 4 years, about 3.5 years. So I think we were able to put together a good model, a solid model, and also to do some pension reforms within looking at our employee unions and having them contribute a little bit more to their medical costs, things along those lines. So it's part of the overall fix.
In addition to the cost of pensions, there's also pure salaries. Right. And in San Bernardino, for example, especially on the public safety side, many members of the public safety forces have been making over $100,000. Now, I don't take that away from them. I mean, we all want to make over $100,000. But, you know, is it time to be looking at how we're compensating our public safety officers? Should they be getting the overtime compensation that they rely upon so greatly?
It just depends. I mean, we don't want to put the public at risk by doing anything that's going to take our officers off the street or minimize their presence at special events. Pasadena has many special events, and sometimes we have no choice.
Something called the Rose Bowl in your city.
Yeah, there's a thing called a Rose Parade.
Exactly.
But recognizing that we've also eliminated positions. We've eliminated vacant positions, so there's no prospects of filling those anytime soon. And we also looked at position eliminations, and we had to actually let real people out of their jobs. So we had to do it very comprehensively. It was very painful, but we also have priorities that we have to maintain, and public safety is right at the top.
I want to ask you, though, San Bernardino is talking about contracting out its public safety functions to their county. It's very nice to know that Pasadena, Los Angeles, Calabasas, whatever it is, has its own police force. I actually think Calabasas does not. Be that as it may, is it time for cities to start looking at creating economies of scale by contracting out?
Well, I think it certainly is an option. I know that the county sheriffs provide that service for a number of local municipalities. Pasadena and other cities, I think, look at public safety as one of the top priorities for a community. And quite frankly, if you ask citizens of a community, they're going to say public safety is ranked right at the top.
But is it by definition that a local police department will be better than, provide better safety than?
Yes.
In your mind?
Yes, but if you have no choice, if you find yourself really at that place where you have to make that kind of tough decision, then then you have to make that tough decision. We were not faced with that
Right.
type of choice. San Bernardino may have to, given the array of choices that they have before them at this moment.
As you know, the current California state legislature sided with Governor Brown's plan to eliminate redevelopment. It has hurt many cities, including San Bernardino.
Right.
The mayor has said on the record that was part of the death blow. Pasadena has benefited from redevelopment. Old Town, I believe,
Yes.
revitalized as a result of redevelopment. How hard has it been for Pasadena? And if you go to Sacramento, will you work to try to bring back redevelopment in some form?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, it's a job stimulator. It really takes your downtown, in the case of Old Pasadena, and it takes it from being a derelict part of your community to vibrant and very energized part of your community. And certainly that's what we have now with Old Pasadena. But there are other areas of our city, the more working class neighborhoods that did not have supermarkets and things of that nature, affordable housing. All of those came from redevelopment, and as a result, we've created affordable housing in our city and also jobs and resources that weren't there before.
But are you willing to go up against a Democratic governor, being a Democrat yourself, to say we got to bring back redevelopment in some form?
Well, I don't know if we call it redevelopment, but yes, I think that some kind of economic stimulus, economic development tool needs to be developed so that we can help cities fill that gap that's now been created with the elimination of redevelopment.
I want to shift gears and talk about what's known as Proposition 30, and that is Governor Brown's tax initiative.
Yep.
It would increase sales tax by a quarter cent for 4 years, increase tax on the wealthy of California for 7 years. Coming up, we'll be speaking with Michael Ortiz, the president of Cal Poly Pomona, and he has told me he is a strong supporter of that proposition, in large part because the Cal State and UC system has seen their budgets just eviscerated.
Right.
What's your sense of Proposition 30?
Well, I think it's a necessary initiative, and certainly the voters will have an opportunity to look at all of the pros and cons, but at the end of the day, you know, this is a state that right now needs to continue to turn the corner. It hasn't turned the corner yet, and if this initiative goes down, then you're going to see deeper cuts in education that are going to really affect middle-income families, especially at the community college and higher ed.
I want to talk about your community of Pasadena. I mean, I know your assembly district is much larger, but Pasadena, to me, in a lot of ways, is a bellwether.
Yeah.
You know, it's a moderate district.
Right.
It's been trending Democratic, but it's a pretty moderate district.
Right.
If Pasadena supports Prop 30, I think that's a signal that Prop 30 wins.
Yeah.
As you walk around Pasadena, what are your voters saying to you?
But we also it's also the home of Molly Munger.
Ah, I forgot that. Who is the supporter of the competing initiative,
Right.
which has become quite a battle between the two. That
Yeah.
initiative, I don't know the number. Is it?
I'm not sure,
but
38
yeah,
maybe.
yeah. That initiative would spread the tax amongst the poor and the wealthy. But be that as it may,
Yeah.
what are your voters saying?
Well, my sense of it is that the voters recognize that we have to do something. That in order to make California great again, we have to make sure that we have education investment at the highest possible level.
But are they willing to say yes? You know, the state has not voted for a tax initiative statewide since 2004.
Well, I will say that the polls show that it's moving in the right direction.
What
for
about,
the
I
government.
don't mean to push it, but what about Pasadena? Because like I said,
Well,
I feel like it's a bellwether. It's a
Yeah.
moderate area.
I think Pasadena, if I were to just guess at where I think everyone is right now, would be supportive. I think they recognize, just knowing how they've responded to initiatives that have been local initiatives, supporting a tax
Bonds.
supporting bonds for public education for schools in our city, supporting library tax to make sure that our library system was fully funded. So there is a history within the city of Pasadena doing those kinds of
As
things.
you're on the campaign trail for your assembly seat, will you be talking to voters about Prop 30 and your support of it?
I'm sure they'll be talking to me as well.
There you have
It'll
it.
be a two-way
Well,
conversation.
Touche. His name is Chris Holden. He is a member of the Pasadena City Council, also a candidate for the California State Assembly. When we come back, we'll be speaking with Michael Ortiz. He's the president of Cal Poly Pomona. I'm Brad Pomerance. We'll be right back on Charter California Edition. Welcome back to Charter California Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. Our guest, Michael Ortiz, he is the president of Cal Poly Pomona, one of the finest of the CSUs in our great state. I thank you, sir, for joining us. And I want to talk to you about the challenges facing the CSU system. Over the last 5 years, we have seen dramatic budget cuts to all the CSUs, including Pomona. Really talk to us about what that means. What does that look like?
It looks like fewer students, fewer classes, and fewer employees. Those employees we haven't had any layoffs yet, but we've got over 200 positions that are unfunded.
I want to talk about the notion of fewer students. We are, as we speak today, about to enter an admissions season where seniors in high school are applying for college. My niece, in fact, is a senior. She's looking at Cal Poly Pomona and other fine CSUs and UCs. As I understand it, because the budget situation is so severe, the Cal state system has announced that every student will be waitlisted. Every student. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
How does that work?
Well, we have to waitlist the students because we don't know what's going to happen in the November election and whether the trigger is going to be pulled that the governor has promised will be pulled if it doesn't pass. So an additional $250 million from the CSU, we have to know how much funding we have in order to offer admission to those students.
So let's talk about the November election that you've mentioned. As we know, there will be an initiative on the ballot. It's known as Prop 30 now. And that initiative would increase sales tax by 1/4 cent for 4 years, increase taxes on the wealthy for 7 years. The governor has come out strongly for it. I've spoken with many of your colleagues at the presidential level. They have come out strongly for it. What does this proposition do to assist higher education in California?
In our case, it actually would guarantee us a flat budget because it means that we won't have an additional cut. The governor has also promised to provide $125 million for the 13-14th academic year to the UC and the CSU. So that will increase the funding for that year. But this next year, the 12-13 year, will be a real challenge for us.
So as you see it, if this initiative fails, what would happen? What will the CSU system look like?
My own sense is that there'll be a lot more people that will be laid off. With the programs that'll be closed, there'll be fewer students admitted. It'll be downsizing the system overall.
If you think about increasing taxes, Californians have been wary, to say the least. The last time the state of California passed a statewide tax initiative was in 2004. In 2009, one was rejected. 65-35, different time. In June, we saw a cigarette tax go down. I guess what I'm saying is, will you be talking vociferously? Will you be out there talking to your constituents? Because if voters hear from a college president that this initiative should pass, that's going to hold sway. It's easy for a politician to say something. But if a college president is speaking, that's a different story.
It's a different story, but it's the same song. In other words, it's still talking about a tax increase.
But I hear you, and I enjoy the metaphor, no doubt. But it really is different. You know, you're not a politician.
No.
You're not in the business of trying to persuade voters. And it's probably a situation that's a bit uncomfortable, but is the situation so serious that your fellow presidents throughout the system, in your mind, need to tell the voters, we need this?
Absolutely. It's a situation unlike what we face on a regular basis because all of us are involved in fundraising at one level or another for the campus.
Right.
And so that this is another mechanism of raising funds. It's saying if we don't get this Proposition 30 passed, then we're going to be reduced in the budget, and that's losing funds, not bringing funds to the campus. So,
as you know, there has also been a controversy. I've spoken about it in the past about how presidents of CSUs are compensated. A fight broke out about the president of San Diego State over the fact that he saw a raise of $100,000 over his predecessor. You know, I'm probably putting you on the spot, but what do you make of these controversies over presidential pay of CSU presidents?
The thing that bothers me the most is that no one talks about what the president does. It's just a number. In the case of San Diego, if you look at his record since he arrived, he contributed $100,000 to their capital campaign. He has raised almost $2 million a week since he's been there. I would say it's a pretty good return on investment for
right.
the additional $100,000. But it's a matter of negotiating a first contract. We talk about raises, but he negotiated his first contract, and it happened to be $100,000 more than his predecessor, but his predecessor had not received a raise in 4 years.
And if you think about San Diego State, for example, that's a campus on the move. I mean, when I was going to college, San Diego State was well, let's call it a party school. Not so much anymore. I mean, it really has come into its own. And when you also think about the competition, I mean, if someone is at a level where they can be a college president, I mean, that's nothing shabby. I mean, you're at the top of your game.
I think what gets confused is the notion of being a public servant. If you're an elected public official, you know what your salary is. You know that you're going to be spending your time serving the public, and you choose to do that. But when you're in the profession of higher education and running an institution, then you've reached the pinnacle of that profession, being university president.
And look, I mean, I know recently there was a turnover in several presidents at the CSU system. And as a general proposition, the new incoming presidents were making in the range of $300,000 a year. Now that's a lot of money, no doubt about it. But I mean, I've looked at the salaries of some of these presidents at some private schools. I mean, they're making $800,000. You think about football coaches. I mean, you were at Fresno State, a fine football institution. They're making, you know, millions of dollars. Yes. So what does that say to you that there's a lot of heat, you know, in Sacramento about $300,000 when, you know, at a private institution, they could be making much more?
Well, my own sense is that it's a way to defer the attention from really the problem, that is the reduction of support of higher education. Mm-hmm. So it's the whipping boy, if you will.
You mentioned the San Diego State president who has raised a significant amount of money for that institution. Could you give us a sense of how important that role is for a college president and is becoming as a result of these budget cuts? I understand that you are actually in the midst of a comprehensive capital campaign.
Correct. It's critical. It's critical, and it's critical for a number of reasons, one of which is the increased cost for students requires more scholarship funding. You have to come up with more money to attract the best and brightest students to your campus.
But are you able, you know, forgive my, you know, I don't know all the ins and outs of the CSU system, but do you have latitude specifically at a single campus to provide scholarships, or is that a formula based at the higher level?
No, the money you raise from private sources is what you raise.
And it stays at Pomona.
They determine that, correct.
Okay.
But looking at facilities and looking at things that we can't afford to address through the general fund budget, you have to raise this money if you're going to be successful. We've been doing a number of things, public-private partnerships. We have 750 engineers from Southern California Edison on our property that are working on the smart grid, and we have students and faculty working with them. The American Red Cross is located on that same property, so that we're partnering up with public-private in public-private partnerships to provide our faculty and our students the opportunity to engage with the industry, but at the same time, we get a little ground rent from those individuals while they're on our property.
What's interesting is the goal for your campaign, $150 million, 18 months in the midst of very difficult times, you've already raised $100 million. Yes. How, Mr. President? I don't, this is remarkable.
We've never been engaged in a comprehensive campaign before, and we have over 120,000 graduates, so that many of them are very proud of their education at Cal Poly Pomona, but they've never been asked for any money.
And if you think about it, Cal Poly is known for engineering, and presumably those graduates are well heeled.
Yes,
one would hope.
I would hope that that's the case. And I believe that because they've never been asked to support their institution, there's really not been an effort in the past to raise this kind of money. So that I think that just going out, asking them, and they're acknowledging how much of their education has meant to them and what it meant to them in terms of their own development and their professional development, I think speaks volumes.
I would like to thank Michael Ortiz, president of Cal Poly Pomona, for joining us. When we come back, we'll be speaking with a representative from Glendale College. They're also engaged in a capital campaign. I'm Brad Pomerance. We'll be right back on Charter California Edition. Welcome back to Charter California Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Pat Crouch. To say that she is a booster for Glendale Community College could only be described as an understatement. She is a graduate herself. Her husband is a graduate. Her daughters are graduates. She is the vice president of the GCC Foundation, and she is now chairing the 85th anniversary celebration of Glendale Community College. We are so proud of this monumentous event. Why are you such a booster for Glendale Community College?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, both my husband and I went to Glendale College, and our girls did also,
Right.
our two girls, and it's an amazing college. The campus has been voted number 2 in ranking as far as beautiful places to go to school.
Nothing wrong with that.
And it's just a great place, great classes.
There are challenges facing community colleges. I want to
There
talk
are.
about those challenges before we talk about this very
Yes.
exciting event. We want to incentivize everyone watching, be it students, alumni, boosters, to come. But talk to me about how Glendale has been facing the dramatic budget cuts. And I have a feeling that Foundation's part of the solution.
Really, all the community colleges, all the colleges are facing incredible budget cuts. And it makes it really difficult for students to go to college and to work towards their career. And so we need to step up to the table as a community and raise funds to make sure that those students can go to college and pursue their dreams and their careers.
And that's part of the reason why you have been involved in the GCC Foundation Board since 1997, raising money for Glendale Community College. Explain how the foundation works before we talk about this exciting event.
There are 35 board members on the foundation, and they're all local business people and community. And our job is to raise money for the school, and we've been very successful at that. And our 85th anniversary is a very aggressive project, and our goal is to raise $250,000 for the school, and it's solely for the Student Success Fund.
So let's talk about this fund. The Student Success Fund is a fund that has been developed through the foundation. Tell me about it. What are its goals? What does it strive to achieve?
It strives to achieve to have the funds there so we can benefit the students through the classrooms, books, more books. We are deeply in need of more computers.
It's interesting because California community colleges had been known for being extremely affordable. And we know over the last few years, fees went up per unit from $26 to $36 in the summer of 2012, $46. I mean, it's getting expensive to attend community college. Does the foundation, does the Student Success Fund offer tuition assistance? Is that part of its mission?
That will be part of it.
Oh, nice.
Scholarships. But every department on the college, at the college, will benefit from the Student Success Funds. And $250,000, we've never had an aggressive project like that.
That's huge.
So there's really several goals with our 85th anniversary gala.
Okay, let's talk. We might. I don't want to.
Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped to that.
No, let's get there because it
Okay.
is so important. It is coming up, as I mentioned, on October 20th, 2012. It's called Stars Among Us. Tell me more about the gala because it really, I honor you for chairing the celebration. Tell me about it.
It's really an opportunity for the community to make a difference in the students' lives. So it's really twofold. Number one, we need to raise $250,000 to achieve our goals. And it's also a wonderful party, a wonderful way for everyone to celebrate the beautiful campus, the school. It's actually on the campus.
Oh, nice. The second most beautiful community college campus, I understand.
Absolutely. And our culinary arts department is actually going to do the dinner, and it's going to be a fabulous dinner. We are going to have our jazz band. They're going to perform. Our performing arts department is going to perform. So everyone is going to be involved on the campus, and it's just going to be a great party.
And what's nice to know about contributing in whatever way to Glendale Community College, it has an extremely high transfer out rate to four-year institutions.
Yes.
So when one becomes involved in GCC, in whatever form it may become involved, that an organization, a human, whatever it is, you know that these students are moving on. Nothing wrong with just getting an associate's, don't get me wrong. But if you do aspire to move on, GCC does seem to prepare its students extremely well to go to UCLA. I mean, your colleague who's here, Raphael, if I may say, I mean, he's a perfect example. GCC, UCLA, got his MBA, has now come home to teach marketing at GCC.
In fact, I went to Glendale College, and then I went to UCLA.
Of course you did.
And I hadn't even mentioned that to Raphael, but it's a very dedicated college. And the foundation, Mike Haney is our new president of the foundation and has done so much, the golf tournament. We have ongoing fundraising events.
I have to think that since the college is 85 years old, you have a cadre of alumni that can get involved, and what a great opportunity for them to get involved with this 85th anniversary celebration. How can alumni get involved, be it through the celebration or otherwise?
Well, they need to join the Alumni Association, and we're working on that, getting everyone in our database. And also coming to the event, and there's various ways to participate. Can be a sponsor, can buy a table, can buy a couple tickets. We welcome every contribution that people feel comfortable that they can do at this time. I know it's been very trying times over the last few years, but whatever contribution the community can do, we just really will appreciate it.
Pat, I know you, I've heard your name throughout the years. You're very involved in your community. You are a businesswoman yourself. Vice presidents all over your name in terms of your title company, in terms of your involvement in the foundation. What is it about Glendale College that keeps you so involved in it? There's got to be something. You're busy.
It's just.
I mean, you went to UCLA, you know, a wonderful alumni association. Why Glendale College as opposed to UCLA? Nothing against UCLA, but.
People that experience the college, there's really a difference there. There's a high energy, very committed students, committed instructors, professors, and it's a place that you really know that you can go in, you can be a part of something amazing, and you can make a difference. It's all about making a difference, and that's why we need everyone's support for the gala, and they'll be a part of making a difference.
Okay, how can we buy tickets? How can we get involved? I mean, let's keep it simple.
We're gonna. I know you're gonna put on the screen our website.
Yes.
You can buy tickets through our website. Also sponsorships. There's some great sponsorship opportunities, and also there's a phone number that's going to show on the screen.
Yes.
That everyone can call, and we would be happy to take their reservation. We're also going to have a live auction.
I love auctions.
Amazing.
What about silent auctions?
Silent auctions. We have a trip to Paris. Just really good auction items. And I can't say who the MC is going to be, but we're working on someone that's really going to do a great job. I'm just waiting to hear if he's going to be able to be there.
It's a he.
It's a he.
Pat Crouch, I want to thank you so much for joining us, for what you are doing for Glendale College. Again, Glendale College is celebrating its 85th anniversary, and it invites you to attend their gala celebration. It will be held on October 20th, which is a Saturday, at Glendale College itself. My name is Brad Pomerance. We thank you so much for watching Charter California.